Salvete. Today we're going to look at Chapter 6 from Wheelock's Latin Grammar. We're going to finish up our future and imperfect forms for sum, and we're going to learn a new verb, possum, to be able, in the present, future, and imperfect tenses. So let's go ahead and get started. Back in Chapter 4, we learned the irregular verb sum, which means to be. In this chapter, we're going to look at the future and imperfect tenses. Since the forms, again, are irregular, it's best just to memorize them, not try to rationalize how we got there. We'll look at the future first, and then we'll look at the imperfect. So here's our chart for the future, for the verb to be. You can see it's actually fairly easy to memorize. Let's go ahead and go over the forms. First person singular, ero, I shall be. Second singular, eris, you will be. Third singular, erit, he, she, or it will be. We go to the plural, first person plural, erimus, we shall be. Second plural, eritus, you, plural, will be. And then third plural, erunt, they will be. So now on to the imperfect tense for the verb sum. First person singular, eram, I was. Second singular, eros, you were. Third person singular, erat, he, she, or it was. We go to the plurals, first person plural, eramus, we were. Second plural, eratus, you plural were. And then third person plural, erant, they were. So also in Chapter 6, we have another irregular verb, the verb possum, to be able. It's a very common verb, and it's actually a compound of potis plus sum. So it's the prefix pot plus sum. Before forms of sum that begins with an S, the T was assimilated into an S, so we get possum, not potsum. So again, a full dictionary form entry for possum would be possum, posse, potui. So the infinitive here is posse. So let's go ahead and look at this verb in the present tense. Again, the best way to learn this is just to memorize. But we'll see it does kind of expand on sum in the present. So first person singular, possum, I am able. Second person singular, potest, you are able. Third person singular, potest, he, she, or it is able. First plural, possumus, we are able. Second plural, potestis, all of you are able. And then third person plural, possunt, they are able. So next we'll take a look at the future tense for possum. First person singular, potero, I shall be able. Second singular, poteris, you will be able. Third person singular, poterit, he, she, or it will be able. Then we go to our plurals. First plural, poterimus, we shall be able. Second plural, poteritus, you plural will be able. And then third person plural, poterunt, they will be able. So next we'll look at the imperfect tense for possum. First person singular, poteram, I was able. Second singular, poteros, you were able. Third person singular, poterat, he, she, or it was able. And then our plurals, first plural, poteramus, we were able. Second plural, poteratus, you plural were able. And then third person plural, poterant. So again, notice it's just the imperfect of sum with pot attached to the very beginning of it. So we'll talk a little bit about the use of possum. Possum by itself needs something to help complete its meaning, so it usually takes a complementary infinitive. It answers what the subject can or is able to do. We've seen this before with the verb debeo, which means ought. So in that case, we also need a complementary infinitive to help complete the thought. The complementary infinitive shares the same subject as the main verb. So we won't have separate subjects. Whatever the subject of the main verb is also the subject of the complementary infinitive. Let's take a look at some examples using possum plus this complementary infinitive. So just for example, I give you the sentence where Gilius potest conservare pecuniam. So Virgil can save, or literally is able to save, money. So there, potest takes the complementary infinitive conservare. Another example sentence, puer poterant superare multa pericula. The boy could overcome or was able to overcome many dangers. So we can translate it either way, whatever sounds best to you, whatever works best in the sentence. So you can use can, or you can use is able to. So that brings us to the end of chapter 6. In the next chapter, we're going to be introduced to third declension adjectives. So until we meet again, Willete.